everything, will happen with him behind closed doors. You just hear a lot of stuff. But I will say that, whatever is done in the dark will come to light, right? It will. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those questions and comments. We can jump into it because I feel like a lot of men, not all, but when you do have a certain amount of influence, the power, the money can get to your head. The air is thinner up there. You have to be careful with who you associate with, who you bring into your life, who you decide to date, who you decide to get into a relationship with. I was watching an episode of, and you can see it on my Instagram. I was watching the episode of Hardly Initiated. Shout out to them. Love what they're doing over there. And there was a young lady who talked about an influencer who took her on a date. Now you have to watch the whole video. I can't give you the whole thing. You got to check it out. It was really interesting to see how all of this played out. But long story short, they go on a date. They go to the hotel room. I guess this is a very well known influencer. And they get in the room. He takes his clothes off right in front of her and he starts to masturbate, like right in front of her after they went on this date. Now, here it is. She get to tell this story, right? And I'm not doubting what she's saying. And I'm pretty sure once this come out, of course, because everyone knows that what is done in the dark will come to light. Now, I want to preface by saying this, that this is in no way to judge anyone. Okay. So what people do is what they do. I'm not saying that I'm the final judge and jury. That's between them and God. All I'm saying is I'm just using this as a cautionary tale because it seems like there's been a lot of stuff that's been coming out this year, especially about things that men have been doing. Hey, we all have issues. We all got struggles. None of us are immune to this. But once you get to a certain status, and you should practice this even before you get the status, right? Because I think a lot of times people get they get to this status, they get the money, and then they realize that their gift can't take them where their character can't keep them, right? I remember my old pastor used to say that. He used to say, "Don't let your gift take you where your character can't keep you." Because as soon as the money comes and the women come, you find yourself in this place where you feel like you're untouchable, that you've been fighting so long to get to a place of recognition, to be recognized, to be noticed. Maybe you didn't get all the love and affection as a young boy. Maybe you got rejected in high school from the girl you wanted to go on a dance with. I wanted to go hang out. She told you no. She rejected you. She was with the football player instead, and that bothered you. And once you got to a place that you worked so hard that you're going to make everybody pay for this, once you get to a certain place in your life, and you get there, and now everyone else have to pay for the things that you have done. So I think we really have to check ourselves, especially for men. I always say this for men, relationship coaches and stuff like that, and you're dealing with the opposite sex. You will have that. There will be women that want to talk to you. They want some advice from you. You seem like you're an upstanding guy. You seem like you love the Lord and all these different things. And for some women, that is attractive. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. Share this video with someone because I think this is a conversation worth having. If you have any comments, let me hear from you. So this guy, this influencer, does such a thing that once the lady who was on a date with him, now she get to tell her side of the story. And you have to sleep with yourself at night knowing that the thing that I've done can possibly get out to the world and I'm this influencer, and eventually there's going to be some backlash for this. Right now it's easy. Let me give you a quick story. I remember I was around 20 years old. And this was, my BC days. I wasn't saved yet. And I went to this girl I knew, we and her was dating. And we had this whole plan to go and spend the weekend away. We and got a hotel room or whatever. And we, was drinking, all this other stuff, hanging out, having a good time. And I'm thinking I'm gonna get some that night. I'm like, okay, this is what's going on, right? And so we didn't do it. We didn't have sex that night. We got into bed and she was like, I'm tired. I don't wanna, um, I don't want to do this. And I was like, okay. I was like, whatever. Now, was I frustrated? Of course. But at the same time, and even at 20 years old, I understood when she said no, she said no. I knew this at 20. Okay. Now, a lot of times you would think that's common sense, but a lot of times, guys, they, they got the testosterone running through their body. They thinking you came here in this room, i.e., like the influencer. The lady came to his room and she, okay, and she went to the room with him and he just thought automatically that they were going to have sex. I mean, he started to masturbate right in front of her. Now, when we talk about fruits of the spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, right? Self control. And I tell ladies this a lot of times when you're dating a man, see if you have self control. Self control will get you out of a lot of mess. Okay. Self control. How can you know if someone has self control? That's by if they respect your boundaries. If you tell them no and they respect your boundaries, they have some form of self control. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they are cool with you, everything is okay until you tell them no. That's how you know you can gauge a friendship or a relationship when you put boundaries in place and they can respect that. Because for some odd reason, we think that once we're dating someone or we're married to someone or in a relationship, like they automatically just supposed to say yes to our every call. And that's that's humanly impossible. Because if you're saying yes to everything, that person is going to whittle themselves away. They're going to eventually die away because they're giving so much of themselves, right? So I think it's important for men to understand self-control because hello everyone. Thank you for joining. Everyone who came into the room, thank you. Feel free to share this because I think this topic is very important. So when you have that kind of influence over people, you have to know that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be willing to give you whatever. And you have to be able to turn that down. If you're married, because a lot of times people say, all right, Sean, well, yeah, you married. But a lot of times the single women is like, hey, Sean, all these married men are in my DMs. So a lot of times it don't even matter if you're married or single. But I do think as men, I think we just really have to get it together. We have to practice self control because at the end of the day, you have to be accountable for your actions. And it might not happen to you today. And this isn't being judgmental. You might have done something today that you thought was cool, but as we all see, and with the whole Diddy thing, right? Everything, it always comes to the surface. So have the discipline to say no, to go home. I mean, there will be some advances. There will be, and this is for the men, there will be some women that they just in love with who you are, what you stand for. With this guy being an influencer, I'm pretty sure. And she talked about that in the Hardly Initiated episode where she was like, she felt like, wow, like this guy, like it's just me and him, like a once in a lifetime thing. So for a lot of men, you can have that influence and power, but don't use that to take advantage of people. You got to have integrity. I tell single women this all the time. If he have integrity, a lot of times there's going to be a lot of stuff you don't have to worry about. Is he accountable to God? Is he accountable to other people? And that's a great question to ask on a date. When you're dating a man, who do you have an accountability partner? Who are you accountable to? And if he's like, I'm accountable to God, okay, yeah. Because it's easy to be like, I'm accountable to God, I'm a Christian, I love the Lord, all this other stuff. That's yeah, I get it. But see how that person walk out in their everyday life. How do they live their life? Are they living, really living intentionally? Are they respectable? Do they honor people? How they treat you? Do they honor your time? Do they respect you? Do they respect your boundaries? All these different things. And I wanted to get on here and talk about this because it seems like everything that people are doing is coming to the surface. And you don't want to be that person that did something and it's going to eventually catch up with you. Because for some odd reason, most people think that they're the exception opposed to the rule. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. So, with this whole influencer, I know a lot of it's going to surface. It's eventually going to get to a place where everybody will find out. And you have to live with that. And you have to answer to that about what about your family? What about your friends? What about the people that you have influence over? And I think that's the thing that really gets me when people trust you. When I started this relationship coaching thing, my wife knew that eventually I'll be coaching women and stuff like that. And I told her that if anything that I honor about my wife that I really, really love about her is that I don't ever want to lose her trust because she trusts me. And I don't take that for granted. Like people don't understand the value of trust until it's broken. And then when it's broken, they're like, "Can you take me back? I'm sorry. I messed up." They want you to get over it and it's only been 3 weeks. Why can't you get over it? Why you keep bringing this up? Yeah, cuz you cheated and I'm still hurting. So, when someone trusts you, don't take that for granted. And I make sure that I honor my wife by making sure that I'm not out here sliding in people DMs doing unnecessary stuff. And I'll tell the guys this too. Some people they want you to fail. Some people will set you up just so you can fail. You know how many times I have seen screenshots of guys that they saying stuff that they shouldn't be saying in women's DMs. Uh, yes, thank you, Pastor Cobra, thank you. Yeah, they take the screenshots and they share it. Some people even post it on their timeline. They like, hey, come get your husband, and they put it out there. Look, nobody's above this stuff, right? Anybody can get caught slipping. The Bible talks about be careful where you stand unless you fall. So I'm not sitting up here saying that I'm the great and mighty. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you this as a cautionary tale that anybody can get caught up. I think a lot of times people get caught up and they think that they're the exception opposed to the rule. So every day I'm being intentional about the way I move from my coaching business, from working every day to the different people I interact with, especially women. People want to know why my business is growing. Why is this picking up? Because I believe, and it's the grace of God, that I try to make sure I treat people with honor and respect. Like how you treat people matters. Because a lot of times we think we could just take our influence and throw the influence sheet over somebody's head and then use them and think that we can get whatever we want from them. And it's not going to ever come out. For me, I'm like, one thing I'm grateful for is that God had me on a short leash. I can't get away with nothing. I mean, God whoops me quick. So I don't do anything that's if I'm living, if you see it online, I'm living it in real life. I am not trying to. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Share this video with someone. Share this video with someone. Um, where was I at? Oh, yeah, I was just saying that I make sure that how I treat people matters. I had influence before social media. I had influence before people, before all this social media stuff, and I took pride in having integrity. And even with my ex-wife and I, right? My ex-wife and I, we went through a divorce in 2017. And when I tell people that I've been through a divorce, the first thing they ask me is, "Did you cheat?" That's the first thing they ask me, and I'm like, "No, I didn't cheat." It's like, why is it's so bad that we actually think that that's the first thing that happens if someone goes through a divorce? Did you cheat? That's the first thing, especially if it's the man, right? Especially if it's the man. You cheated. There can't be no other reason besides you cheated. And that's just the assumption that people automatically make. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to chime in. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I just wanted to talk about this topic that, especially for my male coaches, man, be careful. Don't be out here living contrary to what you're speaking, because you will get caught. You will. For one, you're going to reap what you sow, right? Good or bad. Number two is some people just want to see you fail. Some people will play the game with you and use it against you later. When you start to be on that incline and your business start to pick up and you got a name for yourself, and now all of a sudden somebody got some video on you or they got some screenshots on you because of the stuff that you were sending in their DM, you got to be more careful, man. You cannot pull the influencer sheet over somebody's head. And if you do, it will only be for so long. There's so many stories from women that I've heard about the stuff that they've dealt with men, because they have a certain amount of influence over them. Make sure you share this video with someone. Would love to hear your comments as well. But I also wanted to end with this because I didn't want to stay too long. I wanted to say that, man, I get it that people don't value integrity. Like, integrity isn't placed on a pedestal, right? Faithfulness, those things aren't on a pedestal. You're not going to get 1,000 likes or something like that because you come home to your wife every day, or you come home, to your girlfriend or whatever. Like, that stuff isn't applauded. So then you have to ask yourself, who are you doing this for? Are you just trying to live a life of integrity because you scared, or you felt like you had to take an alternative route now because trying to do right isn't working for me? And or the temptation is too great, because now all of a sudden you have people on your team now. You got some people who can gas you up, and they're buying your books and they in your courses, and they liking all your stuff. Now that stuff can get to your head, and if you're not careful, next thing you know, you're in someone's bed and you thinking, what in the world was I doing? So we got to bury those egos. As quick as somebody will lift you up is just as fast as they'll throw you down once they find out that you're human. You know, Jesus comes in and everybody says, Hosanna, Hosanna. And next thing you know, they yell and crucify him, right? It's just like that. People will love you one minute, find out you're human, and then they're through with you. So you might as well just live a life of integrity, that living for God, whatever you do for God will last. instead of trying to live for people's approval. Because you have to be careful out here. People are fickle. It's just the way it is. People, once you're hot, and then once you get a little older, or you're not who you used to be, and then people they just leave you. So you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to be an influencer? Or if I am an influencer, how am I going to manage that influence over other people? Look, being an influencer, when you have do you know how much of a blessing it is for someone to trust you, for somebody to pay you for a service, for somebody to come to your conference, for somebody to pay for your coaching or your online course or your book, whatever it is you're selling? Don't take those things for granted. Don't, because there are some people that will rock with you to the end, but it's very few. It is very few. So I just said all that to say is that, especially for my male coaches, be careful out here, because whatever you put in the ground, it will come up, good or bad. Ryan Catchings, man, this was a great the show that you and Tyshawn did today was amazing. I had to talk about it, man. It was great. And so I hope you guys continue to do the great work that you are doing, and that God will continue to cover y'all, man. And that, y'all live a low key life, because the influence is real. And like I said before, it's easy for people to gas you up. So thanks, Ryan and Tyshawn, for doing what you do, man. I appreciate y'all. You guys help me out every week, and even help hold me accountable as a man. So continue to do what you do. Continue to spread the word. Continue to preach integrity. Continue to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Continue to spread the word, man, because we need more help, especially my sisters. They need to see more healthy men, because what you guys talked about on the show today, who knows how bad the woman's faith was wrecked because of this one guy. And again, we talk about influence. We have people lives in our hands, and we worried about some sex or some money. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the things that we just gonna run over people for some sex and some money. And then that's temporal, right? Because once you get caught, oh, the feeling was great. Now you don't have the money and the feeling is gone. Now what? Now you done lost your integrity. So I think it's important that when people trust us, that we hold them with care, man. It's almost like a pastor. It's almost like you're shepherding people. So thank you guys once again for doing what you do. We need more positive male, and not even so much a coaches, but whether if you're a dad, an uncle, a cousin. There was a lady that told me the other day. This lady is 20, 22 years old. She was like, Sean, you are the first man in my life that didn't want anything from me. Think about that. I was the first man in her life that didn't want anything from her. How crazy is that? Why is it that women will have to go through all this stuff to feel like they can't trust a man? It's because of those previous experiences, because we can't control the flesh. We can't control the flesh. And that's something that we need to get under control. I'm at a men's Bible study group at my church, and there's thousands of men. And of 7 men that they were looking for, I was one of the 7 that was chosen. And I was just thinking, like, do you know how much influence that is for me to have at my church? So I don't take that stuff lightly. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go to my wife home. My wife, I'm gonna go to my family, and I'm chilling. I ain't about to get caught up in anything that isn't, of God. I'm gonna go home to my wife and my family. I'm good, because I ain't about to get caught up. Because people will put you on blast. People will put you out there. So I just want to say thank you all. Thanks, Ryan, for stopping by, man. That was pretty dope. I appreciate that, man. Make sure you share this video with something. I know I was a little long-winded. It's almost 25 minutes. I know this isn't popular teaching, but somebody got to talk about it. We got to bring the integrity back. We have to bring back loving God. We have to bring back honoring people, loving people, meeting people where they're at, and being a light in the world, because there's a lot of people that just don't trust people. And I get it. Like when you hear this stuff about, with Diddy, and you hear about, these influencer guys that they're one way and then they get behind closed doors and they're another way. Like, we gotta be more careful with that. So whatever you do in the dark will come to light. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share this with a friend. Make sure, if you are listening to this podcast, make sure you leave a rating and review. Would love to hear from you. What did you think about this? I know I was saying some things that might have seemed insensitive, but we have to talk about these things. Make sure you share this video with another man, because I believe once we get the men straight, we can straighten out culture. I'll say that again. If we get the men straight, we can fix the culture. And there's so much more I want to say, but I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks again, people, for joining me. This is Sean Heineman. Go visit the website, scaredtoremarried.com. We have some great stuff going on over there. We have our date night cards. We have the God Says I Am placards. So if you have your biblical affirmations in the morning, I mean, there's people who have bought our biblical affirmations. They have them in their bathroom. They say them right before they get ready to leave out of the bathroom, or they got it right by their door and they say they're biblical affirmations. We even had affirmations for kids. I go over my affirmations with my sons every night. They know them by heart. Check out the website, scaredtoremarried.com. It's under the Love Fearlessly tab. Take care, people.